And one thing you're going to notice, perhaps, is the lack of switch boxes that I used to have right there, and the lack of cords coming out the back of those systems. And this is one of the biggest changes to the game room this time around. If you remember last year in my 2013 collection video, I was saying that I had every single one of these systems hooked up to this TV here, this flat screen LCD, and then the older systems, which would be the Nintendo Entertainment System through the N64, were also hooked up to this CRT over here. And that was nice. That was nice and convenient. However, I mentioned in my connections video that every time you use a switch box, you introduce something called impedance or noise. And in the setup that I had, where every system was hooked up to these two TVs, there was some impedance. It was very minimal. It was negligible almost, but as you may imagine, I do have a touch of OCD, and it bothered me when I would play the Super Nintendo or the N64 on this TV. And the way the impedance would manifest itself was there would be just a little bit of ghosting or a slight shadow of the outlines, typically of text. If I was playing The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, the text in the text boxes, you could see it. It was clear. It was actually very sharp, but there was just a little bit of ghosting. There was an outline around, and that was because of the impedance. And that bothered me, so I had a decision to make. It was either have the convenience of having every single console hooked up at once with the convenience of a switch box and have just a slightly degraded video signal, or hook up every system individually as I wanted to play it and then enjoy the quality of a direct connection. And that, of course, is what I opted for, because I figured if I'm going to sit there playing the game looking at the graphics for a long period of time, well, I'm going to want to have the clearest picture possible. So the way these things are hooked up at the moment, the only power supplies I have are for the US consoles. You'll see that there's a power supply for the Nintendo Entertainment System with another lead right there. I'll explain what that is in a moment. There's a power cord for the Super Nintendo and the N64. These systems I play on the CRT TVs. The Gamecube, the Wii, and the Wii U, I play on the LCD. Every other system, the redesigns, and all the Japanese systems, except for the Wii and the Wii U, those I can play on this LCD TV, even though they're not hooked up right now. I'll just use the hookups that I have over here. All the other systems, I will use the power supplies that I have right here. This is a Sega Genesis Model 1 power supply, and it works flawlessly with the Japanese consoles, at least with the Famicom and the Super Famicom. As far as the N64 is concerned, the US N64 AC adapter will work, so I use that. So if I want to use a Japanese console, I just get it down, pretty much swap it out with the US version, plug in the power supply, and in order to get it to play on this TV right here, the CRT, I have this container of cables right here. These are all the official Nintendo cables. This is the multi-composite video cable that you would need to use for the Japanese Famicom AV. This is necessary because S-video is not possible with this system. Just about all the other systems, I can use my Nintendo branded S-video cable and get the clearest picture on the CRT TV. And then this is the composite video mono audio with the splicer on it for the Nintendo Entertainment System. But every Nintendo system with one of these adapters, I can use either the S-video or the composite on this TV right here. So yeah, I do admit that it is a little inconvenient to have to hook up every system that I want to play, but I would much prefer to have the higher video quality with a direct connection. And none of this, however, is the case with the modern systems. The Gamecube, the Wii, and the Wii U are all hooked up to this TV, and there is no switching out necessary. So that's the big change with the consoles. I've done a complete 180 on my opinion of how to hook them up. No more switch boxes. Direct connection is the best. And in regards to CRTs versus LCDs and older systems, I know there are very different opinions on that. I prefer to play them on CRT TVs. A lot of people agree with that, but those who do not agree with that, they say that you can do mods, and I've already said I don't like to do mods to my system, so that's one big reason that I don't play these older systems on LCD TVs. I like to play them as they were meant to be played. And honestly, I think a lot of the games don't look very good. I mean, they are very clear, but they were never meant to have that sharp of an image or be that clear. The games that look the best on an LCD TV are games with very simplistic graphics, like Super Mario World or Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Those games basically just have one fill of color per sprite with some detail around the edges. But if you play a more detailed game like Chrono Trigger or Super Castlevania 4, I've done that on the Virtual Console, and in my opinion, it just looks like a mess of pixels. It does not look nearly as good as playing it on a CRT TV. So it all boils down to opinion as to what you like to play it on. But one thing that I do agree with is that playing an old system on an LCD TV with a composite video signal, that yellow cable, whew, that does look horrible because it turns out very blurry. Just does not look good at all. But I'm happy with my setup the way I have it here. So, that little rant aside, coming over here, not too much is different. Got my Super Mario Galaxy 2 poster. Nintendo figurines from the Nintendo World Store in New York from several years ago. I don't think they sell those anymore. Jenga, puzzle, 2 versions of Monopoly. This is something that I've been wanting for a long time, finally came about on eBay. This is the Game & Watch for Punch-Out. And I believe this was rebranded from Boxing. This is the exact same game as Boxing, but when Punch-Out became popular, they rebranded it as Punch-Out in an effort to sell it. Sealed in the package. Comes with the batteries. And this is one of the models that has little controllers. 2-player controllers, which is really pretty cool. And I've got some of these other ones on the back here, like Donkey Kong and Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers. But I was very happy to get the Game & Watch Punch-Out to complete the collection. Speaking of complete collections, here's my complete collection of Nintendo Power magazines. Organized, as I've shown before, by year. Got divider cards for every year. Tells you the years of issue and then what volumes it runs through. Got the Hyrule Historia, both the sealed collector's edition and then the standard green edition. Still have my Prima box set of strategy guides sealed. And the Ganondorf figurine on top. Don't really have too much of a place to put this. This is the Club Nintendo Award, or reward rather, from several years ago, the Button Collection. Super Mario Chess. Little PlayStation logo, because over here this is pretty much my PlayStation section. You may notice that I have fewer PlayStation 3 games. I still have them, they're in a closet. They just didn't fit with all the Genesis games that I have, because Genesis is on the other side here. As you'll see, this is my Okami collection. I've done a video on this collection before, but in that video I didn't have the Sensu fan, which I do now up top. And again, if you want to see any detail as to what games I have specifically, go onto my backloggery site. You can see exactly what it is that I have. Some Sega CD games down there next to the speaker. In this drawer here, got PlayStation controllers and the S-Video cable for when I want to play the original PlayStation. Hook it in right here, just like I do with my my Nintendo consoles. Genesis games, which continue around here. No more switch box between the Genesis or the PlayStation. They all have a direct connection now. The Sega Genesis is hooked up on the back of the TV, and like I just showed you, the PlayStation gets hooked into the same place where all my Nintendo consoles go on the side. Genesis 2. And continue on with the Genesis collection here. And then a few more Sega CD games. And then just like my PlayStation drawer, this is my Sega Genesis drawer with several Sega Genesis controllers. 6-button, 3-button, both the older and the new version, with and without the red paint. Mega Fire controller, and then the Mega Fire arcade stick. So this is pretty much the non-Nintendo side. Well, like I said, one of my goals early on in collecting was to have everything that I had growing up. And I did have a PlayStation, and I did have a Sega Genesis growing up. So even though I call this my Nintendo Loft, I think these non-Nintendo systems, they belong here just as much as the Nintendo systems do. And speaking of the Loft, the last part of the video, I just kind of wanted to mention, I call this the Loft of the Lucky Fit. Because as you go around here, you wouldn't know it unless I told you, which I'm about to. There are several lucky fits as far as the way things fit in here. And I'll start with the first one, which kind of inspired the whole thing, including my YouTube channel, which was this World of Nintendo sign. This was a piece of official signage that was in stores like Walmart, Venture, KB Toys, to market Nintendo products. And it's lit by fluorescent bulbs, and if you don't notice, it fits absolutely perfectly in that opening there. If you put that shelf up to the highest notch right there, it just doesn't get any more doesn't get to be any more of a perfect fit. So that's the first of the perfect fits here. The next of the perfect fits happens to be the collection of Nintendo Power magazines. Fills up those two shelves absolutely perfectly. Next of the perfect fits, Sega Genesis games. They fit absolutely perfectly here. Couldn't have had a more perfect fit. Same with the Sega CD games. They fit perfectly there. Same with this speaker here for my CRT TV. These Bose speakers fit absolutely perfectly in this little cubby here. And there's the right speaker that fits absolutely perfect. Come around here. You'll notice that I have one lamp on the left, another lamp on the right, and 7 of these gaming shelves fit absolutely perfectly in between those 2 lamps in the corners of the wall. It's almost as if it was meant to be that way. Well, all those perfect fits aside, what wasn't exactly a perfect fit, unfortunately, was the length of this video. As usual, it went quite a bit longer than I expected, especially since there isn't a whole lot new in the collection. But if you did make it this far, I want to thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, take it easy, guys. The Virtual Boy case fits perfectly, too.